Okay, I'm here. And I already have a little bit of problem right here. In the beginning. First of all, this is gonna be a 14,000 word chapter, so double the length of the last one. And I see a big important notice in the beginning. I don't know which version do we want to read. This is a rewrite of the chapter 21. You might think of this as a sensible version, whereas the other, found there, is a crazy awesome but kinda stupid version. They are very different. The question is, which version do we want to read? The rewritten version, which is more sensible, or the crazy awesome, stupid version? I don't know if Ilya is here. It seems like Ilya is not here yet. Oh, just read that one. This one? The rewritten one, I guess. That's what you meant. Okay, makes sense. If I feel like it, I can read it in my own time. Or we can read it at the end. If we remember that. That makes sense. I am not ready. I am definitely not ready for 14,000 words to be read out loud. Especially since I just woke up. So let's see. This is probably gonna be the other side of the story of Team Bai Blake and Yang going out on the other side of the... Did they go to Johto or Hoenn? I don't know. The other side of the world, literally. And found some other kind of grim, which seemed to be oceanic. So I immediately thought of the little wyverns, oceanic wyverns that they had. But how this goes, we don't know. We don't know yet. Because we were only following Team RWBY. Or just Team RWBY. So let's just simply start Chapter 21. The head, the tail, the whole damn thing. The days since Team RWBY's first meeting with the Elite Four had been busy ones. Not only did they handle briefing Lance and his teammates on the strategic and tactical necessities of fighting the Grim, they also took the opportunity to learn more about what it meant to be a Pokemon trainer. The problem was that before long, Grim started nosing around the outskirts of a number of towns and cities across the region. There were no major attacks, thankfully, but the reports were near constant, and occasionally, they were worrying enough that the experts felt the need to go and help deal with the matters personally. Lance and Professor Oak had their hands full maintaining calm without understanding the danger, so it fell to the Elite Four and Team RWBY, with a little help from Casey, Tracy, Gary, and Riley to respond to calls for help. Sometimes the Grim would attack, sometimes they would withdraw in the face of superior force. Sometimes they were enough present to threaten the town. Sometimes it would just be a single pack of bows. On the third day after the meeting, there were enough requests for assistance that the hunters had to divide into Team RWBY and Team BY to cover things adequately, so it's starting the same way. Yeah, we will have to see how my voice can handle it today. I will definitely tell if I just my voices can't handle, and I will just stop right there. With one partner pair headed into Kanto, and another back to Johto. It was something of an unfortunate oversight that the pair, including the Huntress and Pokemon that relied on fire as their primary weapons, were sent to respond to a threat attacking from the sea. Yup. There is only one Grim we know about that can go into the sea at this point. Or maybe two? Well, Blake, you said you wanted to get to the coast, Yang said as they strolled through the streets of Olivian City. The breeze carried the fresh salty smell of the ocean, and the cry of the gulls was omnipresent. Torchic, or rather Lux, Yang had finally settled on a name for her birdie buddy. I guess, yeah, Yang doesn't know about Luxray. And like the idea of mirroring RWBY's bat named Night with a rooster named Light. Yeah, Lux and Nox. Makes sense. Was perched atop her head, trying to ignore the presence of the massive body of water, less than a mile distant. It wasn't easy. What with the nautical decorum on most of the surrounding buildings, the smell of brine, the nose of seabirds, and the tavern glitter lighthouse, up on the bluff overlooking the city. But that's what denial and repression were for. Technically, Whisper said, I want to get to the coast. Blake said nonchalantly, but she was right. Now all I need is the sand meal, and I'll be set. Mine! Yeah. Those creatures. Wait. Excuse me, what? No, these are not seagulls. These are the... What are they called? Oh yeah! It's Wingull and Pelipper. It's this stupid thing right here. And it's in rough form. They got close enough. Yeah. They are in Pokemon RWBY. Leslie, now going by shade, drifted cheerfully at her side. A pair of sunglasses protecting his ghostly eyes from the bright sunshine. Blake had chosen not to ask where he had gotten them. For that matter, she had also decided not to ask what was holding them up, considering that he was made of crowd toxic gases. It's the heat. We can ask this Jasmine lady we are supposed to meet where she would recommend, and you can stuff yourself with fish after we have dealt with the grim situation here. Blake didn't really bother groaning at the remark, instead sparing her partner with a glare. Spearing? Yeah, it makes sense, stabbing with a glare. Really? You are that desperate for fun that you would stoop to that? Sometimes you can just reach for the long-hanging fruit, Blakey. As their trainers continued their good-natured bickering, the pair of Pokemon quietly had their own conversation, just above their heads. You're afraid of the ocean, really? Shade asked with an amused grin. Do you realize how much of a cliché that is for fire types? I'm not afraid! Lux protested. I have a perfectly reasonable sense of caution about large bodies of water, that's all. Of course not, Ghost teased. I was just shivering at the idea of 100 bazillion gallons of cold water a mile away. Out of caution, perfectly reasonable. In the heat of the moment. So, tell me, what kind of environment is there that could make your moves useless and kill you at the same time? Oh, there isn't one? Then maybe you should shut up! Shade shook his body in amused exasperation. Chill out, Firecracker. The big bad ocean is not going to come and get you. Maybe it is. I have heard of tidal waves, you puff! Oh, smart mouse, Metan! Yang glanced up at the suddenly angry bird, flickering aura of flame surrounding him. For most people, having a fire type flare up while sitting atop their head would be a problem. Most people didn't ignite themselves on a regular basis. And suddenly, I miss having whisper around. Hey Blake, could you get your spook to back off? The phoneless girl shared a quick grin with her spectral companion. I don't know. Do you remember that time back at Beacon, when your dog took a nap in the laundry basket, and when I went to pick it up, you jumped out and licked my face, and I spent 10 minutes clinging to the ceiling light? Yeah? What was the response then to that again? I laughed myself sick? Yes, you did. Right. They continued in silence for a time, before Yang thought she asked to ask the obvious question. Do we know where we are going? I think the gym is that way. Eventually, they found the gym. It wasn't that hard. It was a pretty distinctive building after all, sitting in the middle of the open grassy lawn, the size of a small park, and with the word GYM spat out over the doors. We have a picture that doesn't work. It's probably around this thing. It's probably this. Would make sense. Shade removes his shades and extends smoky tundra down at looks. A shade refers to the ocean drowning fire type Pokemon. Come with me if you want to not die in the hearlessly on the ocean. Huh. You will wash the dish later. This is gonna be a long ride though. I feel like we don't need this dark theme. We are going at... Wait, which Pokemon gym does Jasmine is in? Olivine City, okay. There we go. We are in Olivine City, I guess. They kinda sloped and terraced walls of the squat building as they approached, seeing the wall panels of steel lay atop each other like shingles. Looks pretty reinforced, assuming that's armor quality metal, she mused aloud. Well, that's one less thing to worry about, Yang said, ignoring the closed sign and strolling right through the unlocked doors. Hello? She called, walking out into the middle of an arena that was completely bereft of people. Hello? Seriously, where is everybody? The room was not only unoccupied, it was kinda boring. Ardon metal was surrounded the battlefield, rising up to a high ceiling studded with ordinary fluorescent lights. The only addition to the room was a big cluster of boulders in the middle of the arena floor, presumably as obstacles to make battles more interesting. Above there human and Faunus. Looks and Shades shared smug grins. They knew what was about to happen. I thought this Jasmine lady was supposed to meet us here. What gives? Yang turned to face her partner. And what's with that look? Blake didn't answer, staring wide-eyed at the blonde's head. Come to think of it, Yang could feel a faint vibration to her boots, as if something heavy was being dragged along the floor somewhere. And there was a shift in the room's lighting, as if someone was moving in front of the fluorescent planners. And there was a low voice, just above her, rumbling, "Steel." And why hadn't she turned around yet? The cluster of boulders had moved, a massive shower-shaped head, lifting above what appeared to be a serpentine body, made out of dull-grey rocks. It peered down at them with beady red eyes and an unimpressed frown, before raising a tail tipped with what looked like a massive metal arrowhead, and pointing it meaningfully at the doors the girls had entered through. Yang put on a weak grin as she stared up at the massive Pokemon, head tilted far enough back that Lux had to flutter his tiny wings to keep his balance. We are supposed to be here, big guy. Jasmine should be expecting us. The stereotype's eyes narrowed in suspicion, but he relented. The tail ponderously moved back and struck the metal twice, causing an echoing boom that could be heard anywhere in the building. Job done, the serpentine beast settled back on the floor, head resting on an iron coil, and his eyes not leaving the interlopers. That's about I actually know. I wouldn't know it if I didn't play that stupid game, stupid page game. One truly awkward minute later, a door behind the Pokemon appeared, and a young woman in a simple blue dress and a white jacket emerged. It's definitely Jasmine. White jacket? Wait. Where do you get the white jacket? Oh, that's a jacket. It just doesn't seem like... I always thought that it was part of the clothes actually. Because of this picture. I'm sorry I took so long, Steelix. Is something wrong? Rounding her song as Butler's bark, the woman caught sight of the waiting visitors. Oh, hello, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I'm Jasmine, the Olivine City's gym leader. Are you here from the league? Glad to reprieve from the giant metal sneak's glare, Yang grinned at her. That's us, Yang Xiaolong and Big Perdona, at your service. We hear you got a little grim infestation hereabouts, and we are just the ones to clear it out for you. Blake smiled reassuringly and nodded, agreeing with her partner in her own, more restrained way. Oh, I'm glad to have you here. It's a little embarrassing for the gym leader to be unable to defend their city without the outside help, but considering the circumstances, I'm rather limited to how much I can do. Blake raised the eyebrow of inquiry. What sort of circumstances? Lance was in a hurry when he asked us to come here. All we know is that there have been grim attacks on Olivine, and the gym leader requested help. Well, this is our proof that we are in Olivine City. if I wasn't even sure. Oh, of course, I can only imagine how many demands he has on his time right now, Jasmine murmured. She straightened up and gave her guest a weak smile. Well, the short version is that it's rather difficult for a specialist in steel types to take down an enemy that attacks from under the sea. Well, yeah. Atop Yank's head, Lux groaned and slumped in dismay, while Shade rolled his eyes and tried not to snicker. And I'm out of coffee. Already. Young Blake and the Pokemon stood on a dock, and surveyed the twisted remains of a container ship. The inches thick metal had been torn like cheap plastic, and deep gouges scored their way across almost the entire hull. The massive vessel, built to withstand storms and survive impacts with reefs and icebergs, looked like a best story that had received the attention of an aggressive dog. Yeah, we have seen this paragraph, literally. It was teased last time. Young glanced at her partner. You know what we are gonna need? Blake glanced back at the blonde. Don't say it, Young. Young smiled innocently. Say what? It's gonna be we're gonna need a bigger boat. Oh no, we're gonna be bait. It's a repeat, huh? Blake's glare grew darker. Don't you dare to say it. Young's grin grew politically shit-eating. Don't say what? Don't even think about saying we are going to need a bigger boat. Oh, god damn it! You know I was going to say we are gonna need some bait, but I like your idea too. The pair turned their backs to the stricken vessel, walking back to rejoin Jasmine, where she was talking with the ship's captain. He's hoping RWBY and Vice are having more luck than we are, Yang sighed. You realize that the fact that you said that means they probably aren't, right? Yeah, and this is when we were switching into Team RWBY last time. Wait. I had to think about, are we in a wrong chapter? But no, it's a different chapter. It's just very similar at points. Hundreds of miles away, RWBY, Weiss, and Little and Surge assess their circumstances. We are in trouble! The gym leader groaned. RWBY, Weiss growled, shoulders hunched in indignant rage. I know, I pulled a yank, sorry, RWBY whimpered. Before them, the guys finished forming itself into its new configuration. The bare bone-white mass glinted from the massive barrel of a cement-mixing truck freshly torn from the vehicle's mountings. Steel I-beams swung from the sides, and it stumped forward on legs made from the concrete pilings reinforced with rebar. Scarlet traceries flowed across every part of it, even as they faded from the boulders strewn across the yard. The Grimm's former body discarded like a helmet-capped shell. The monster's one-eye gaze fell upon the group and stepped forward. The impact of a single multi-ton leg shook the ground, and the towering network of girders behind it trembled. The clouds over the city closed in, cutting off the sunlight, and rain began to fall as the Grimm massed behind their leader's nigh indestructible new body. And from now on, everything should be new. But everything is like your books, Blake. They reached the gym leader in time to hear the end of the captain's summary of the attack that puts his vessel into such dire straits. But as bad as it was on the deck, it was a nightmare in the engineering section. The hull was torn and flooding in 3 places, and the bilge pumps were barely able to keep us afloat until we limped it to port. I was amazed the crew down there was able to survive, much less to keep the engines running. If we were Navy, I would be calling for commendations for the lot of them, humans and Pokemon alike. Sounds like they deserve a raise. I can't read. Yang suggested with a grin. They surely do. The captain agreed without hesitation. Well, that depends on how much grief I get from my employers. I'm just hoping I will be able to reward them with still having a job. Yeah, the employers are gonna just see that, oh, you wrecked my ship! I will have a word with them if needed, Jasmine promised. Captain, my company is here, a specialist with a lot of experience fighting these monsters. Would you mind telling them what you saw of the creature? The captain let out a long, slow breath, rubbing a hand over his tired eyes. It was huge, longer than the whole ship, long and thin like a snake, but with a pair of clawed arms, longer than I am tall. It just rose up out of the water and started tossing around electric attacks. At anything that moved. Electric attacks? And with the metal deck, even near miss was dangerous. The veteran sailor, Takeshy said. I don't know. We only know that it is crazier. And I know one extra thing, that tomorrow I won't be able to read, because there is gonna be construction noises. Right above my head. At least my neighbors were nice enough to at least warn us in a notification before it happens. The veteran sailor Takeshy said, "That was the real problem for our Pokemon, of course. Most of our group's teams consisted of water types. Had a few fighting types to help with shifting the cargo too, thankfully. They helped quite a bit. Eventually my cloister managed to drive it off with a lucky shot of Ice Beam. It stopped attacking to break the ice off, and I guess we were far enough away by the time it did what it didn't want to try again." Blake frowned thoughtfully. "See if I long. They are fairly durable and agile enough that it's difficult to hit them hard enough to make a dent. Is it what I think it is? Let's see. Let's see, Feilong. Yeah, it's the serpent. It's this thing right here. This is the Sea Feilong. It's basically an oceanic dragon, Chinese dragon. Again, a later game that we should not see yet. Nothing we can handle though, Yang said breezily. We have faced worse. Although, actually getting to it may be a challenge. Blake cautioned. We will need to go after it in a boat of our own, or we will need to lure it to the shore. Atop Yang's head, Lux shivered. The blonde noticed and gently lifted him off and hugged him close. Pretty cold breeze down here by the water, huh? Yeah, I forgot about the electric attacks. It was a long time ago. It was chapter 5, I guess? When they fought that thing. Force. Even better. So basically watch before the reunion. Yeah, that's it. Lux muttered, curling into her embrace and sparing a glare at Shade, smirking overhead. So, where do we get a boat? Yang asked as she idly ran her fingers through her chicken's crest. Preferably a big one. We could try the Harbor Master's office, Jasmine suggested. I'm sure we can get some assistance there. And they get a little rowboat. Since they were at the water's edge, it didn't take any time at all to reach the Harbor Master's office. Give me a second. But there we go. They just got a barrel. That works too. It didn't take any time at all to reach the Harbor Master's office. A squat two-story brick structure that doubled as a welcome center for exceptionally boring tourists. Within was a surprisingly large cluster of worried-looking dock workers, sailors, fishermen, and businessmen, all directing their anxiety at the man using the stairs leading up to the office at an empty 2 days. He was real thin and balding, but he still managed to project an air of calm and reassurance as he spoke to the crowd. Believe me, I understand your concerns, which is why steps are being taken to deal with the problem, he said soothingly. But we need to do the job right, which means we can't be hasty. Well, what's being done? Demanded by one of the suits, angrily. We have businesses to run and employees relying on us. Yeah, rumbled the man in heavy clothes and waterproof boots. crossing the tattooed arms over his chest. So, same for us guys who actually work for a living. I saw what happened to the container ship. Whatever did would smash my little fishing boat to splinters without even noticing. The harbor master nodded sagely. This is a serious problem and it requires a careful solution. Our own gym leader, Jasmine, has contacted the Pokemon League and... He looked up, blinked and grinned. And here she is now. Jasmine, could you please satisfy fellows that what steps you are taking? Wow, so fast to push responsibility away. The young woman blinked, surprised by the suddenly half the floor. Almost 2,000 men had suddenly turned around and were staring at her owlishly. Well, Jasmine breathed deep to steady herself. I did contact the League, and a pair of specialists with significant experience in combat against creatures like the one that attacked yesterday have been dispatched to lend their expertise. I've been briefing them on the situation, and we are currently devising our strategy. Dick move, man. Well, I kinda get it. He was probably blustered with all of the questions and stuff like that for hours now, probably. What if there was a whole crowd of Pokemon that are also complaining, except they was just uselessly repeating their species name? And it was just deep philosophical conversation. I'm pretty sure there are. Machok, 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 machok. The crowd looked unimpressed, clearly taking the words to mean nothing yet. Jasmine shifted in place, uncomfortable with all the attention, and unsure how to continue. But Yang can do this. But Yang removed the necessity. The satisfied blonde strolled forward to the tightly packed room, her force of personality more than enough to clear a path to the stairs. Bleak, smirking lightly, followed her in her wake. Yang stepped out next to the surprised harbor master and turned a megawatt smile on the gutted complainers. Hi everybody, me and my friends here are the specialists sent to get rid of your monster problem from you. They are not gonna believe. There was a moment of quiet, then noticeable easing of tension among the crowd. The tattooed man gave a contemplative look and nodded, apparently satisfied. Okay, so what you gonna do? Need to see a Wookiee, R2D2, and just about any Pokemon get involved in a conversation together without subtitles. Yeah, you should actually see video on YouTube, which is basically animated by one of the Stardew players, who was like, okay, what is it called? When there are no subtitles or something like that. When they forgot the subtitles. Yang blinked, surprised by the instant acceptance. Link felt the same way. I sadly wouldn't be able to bring it up here because it's YouTube. She wouldn't have expected the group of blue collar workers and well-to-do business owners to accept a pair of teenage girls as their saviors so easily. Similar man on Remnant certainly wouldn't. But then, from what Casey had said, Pokemon trainers usually started very young. That probably made teenagers acting as elite agents seem much more reasonable to them. Blake spoke up, covering for Yang's moment of surprise. The two of us are ready and able to destroy the game attacking your ships. There is only one problem we need to deal with first, getting to it in the first place. The fellow sighed the suddenly nervous crowd as she spoke. This kind of game tends to lair along the heavily traveled ship routes, but they don't usually come close to the shore. so we need to go to it. So, who is up for giving us a ride? Young chap, giving some winsome smile to get our sailors. There was a resounding silence as they all avoided eye contact with her. From the back of the room, near the door, there came a derisive snort. The group turned towards one and found themselves facing another fisherman, slammed against the wall with a tattered old ball cap pulled over his eyes. Ha! The man stood up and gave his fellows dismissive glance before slouching forward, parting the crowd as effortlessly as Yang had done before. Typical. I'm hearing a whole lot of yapping about how somebody should do something, but as none of you have the gut to do something yourselves. Even if the only something you've got to do is play taxi. It's Captain Mortigan. I was about to say that. It's the same captain. The few sailors stiffened, and anger began to grow on a few faces. Ah, you can do it, old fart! The unofficial spokesman snapped. Not everyone here has a nice piece, and I got a family to feed. Can't do that if the thing eats me or sinks my boat. Yeah, this is the kind of music that they were playing when they were exploring the haunted house. Yeah, but sadly I don't know which music is what most of the time. This would have been fitting. And I bet your wife's so proud of a big, strong husband, the other man mocked. Can't put a show on the table if you're too scared to leave port either. The fisherman smiled with anger and stepped into the smaller man's personal space, meeting his level of gaze with fury. But after a few intense seconds, the bruiser seemed to think better of it and backed down, allowing the smirk of the sailor to continue forward without further interruption. You girls know what you're about then? He asked casually, pretending the confrontation hadn't happened. Blake nodded solemnly. In all seriousness, we do. We have the experience, we have the training, and we have the tools. The only problem is getting where we need to be. Yeah? Well, I don't have your fancy training or tools, but I get experience and the boat, and the guts to use both. As long as... He added in a raised voice with a meaningful look at the harbour master. As I'm being compensated? He rolled his eyes at the man's sudden look of panic. Stow the belly aching, he growled. I'm not asking for the word. I'll take these girls out on the little monster run, but my boat ain't leaving the harbour till we got your signature or the mayor's. I ain't picky. On a note to cover whatever cost I incur. Just soundtrack would be fitting, but you know I can't play that soundtrack. We got the tools and we got the talent. Ghostbusters! Dum, bum, bum, bum. Give me a second. I'm gonna grab something to drink. Because I need to. I forgot I actually have some right here, so I don't have to go anywhere. The old salt shot a smoke grin at the first fisherman, whose mouth has fallen open in shock at the demand. "Oh, as smart as you are brave, ain't ya?" "Oh, I like this guy," Yang said, a slight grin appearing on her face. "But I gotta be honest, old man, this is gonna be dangerous. We will win, but it won't be fast and the thing's not gonna go quietly. You sure you are ready for this?" This will grab that, yeah. "Golly, I've been staring down angry Gyarados since before you were a twinkle in your daddy's eye. I figured this can't be any worse than that." Yang had no idea how dangerous a Gyarados was, but they did keep getting mentioned in the context of scary and powerful Pokemon, so she figured that was reasonable enough. Funny enough, it's actually really close to the Ocean Phylong. To the Grim Phylong. She stepped off the stairs and offered the old man her hand, which he took with an iron grip. "Good to have you then, pal. You got a name?" He looked her in the eye, and apparently he decided he liked what he saw in there. "Name's Green. Grab your friend and your gear, and meet me on the dock. Boost the orca. Don't keep me waiting." Let's open up Quint. Oh. I don't know this Shark Hunter. There's another one coming really soon. I'm sorry about that. This is definitely from a movie, from Devoured by Shark. Oh, wait. Oh, it's from Jaws. I'm stupid. Yeah, it's been a while since I saw Jaws. It has been like, I don't know, at least 10 years. When it first came out, that's when I saw it last time. Grab your friend and your gear, and meet me in the dock. Boost the orca. Don't keep me waiting. With that, the man turned on his heel and stalked out of the office, leaving a butterfield and vaguely offended crowd behind. I mean, why are they offended? It's their own fault. Young Blake and Jasmine arrived at the boat's berth, just a few minutes after Quinn, to the old salt's obvious surprise. The Andres shared a constant look once they got a good look at the boat, 30 feet long and covered with dents, rust patches, and other marks of a long service life. Covers don't like to be called cowards. They resemble that remark. Yes, that's true. And it is that picture. It's not a bigger boat, that's for sure. What the problem, girl, is? Quinn growled, a challenging light in his eye. Were you expecting a pretty act or something? Well, it's a little smaller than we were expecting, Blake began delicately, but her Potter blew that attempt at diplomacy out of the water. It's a best toy, Yang said bluntly. Feilong's head is bigger than this thing. Quinn stared at her. Well, I didn't hear anybody else offering you a ride, so what's it going to be? Gonna quit cause you don't have a fancy enough boat? Or you gonna prove that you can back up your big Turk? In fact, it was in that movie, the line, we are going to need a bigger boat. Well, it was actually hinting at that, yes. Yang didn't rise to the bait, simply quirking her eyebrow and giving the man an unimpressed look. See, you're thinking that we need a big boat to feel safe. What we are saying is, we need there to still be a boat when we are done killing the thing, cause I don't want to swim back to town. Lick rested her hand on her partner's shoulder. We will make do, especially if the town comes through with the repair agreement, so we don't need to feel guilty about the things getting wrecked. Quinn snorted, returning his attention to securing his various tools and supplies in place. I think the rock cover surprise you both. Now go fetch whatever the gear it is you need, and we will hash out what we are doing, while we wait on the mayors to finish hamming and hoeing and decide the damn contract. It would be an interesting adventure if they had a luxury cruiser instead, with a shady man selling a golden magic carp, right? Yang snorted in amusement and raised her arms to show off her bracelets. The other gear we need right here. Quinn looked at her blankly before shrugging. Fine, come aboard then. Jasmine spoke up for the first time since arriving at the dock. Thank you, Captain. I'm sure that together we can find the best way to solve this problem. After about half an hour of strategizing, the general plan of action was agreed upon. Since Jasmine's team of Seal-type Pokemon was spectacularly unsuited for nautical combat, she would remain ashore, staying near the beach west of the harbor. It's funny how she is a leader of the gym near the shore with metallic Pokemon. Magic carpet, right? Well, that is gonna be such around the same safe as that, right? Would you actually be safe for the magic carpet? I don't think you would be. Because yeah, the magic carpet is safe on itself, but there are winds. You can trust the carpet, but you cannot trust the man. Yeah, literally what I just said. Depends who you are riding with. The entrances would try to kill it. Or if proved too skittish, to try to force Feilong towards the shadows, where it would have less room to maneuver. Quinn promised that he had an ace in the hole that would help with both fighting and serpent herding, though he refused to elaborate on what it was. The plan was vague by necessity. There were too many variables, too many ways it could go depending on how the Feilong reacted to the presence. Keeping it as simple as possible and open to improvisation was the best way to keep things on track. Once the Arbor Master had arrived, slightly out of breath and bearing a promissory note for whatever repairs Quinn's boat ended up needing, the captain declared they were ready to ship out. Jasmine stepped back onto the dock as she fired up the engine, waving a farewell. Actually thinking about it, if they wreck the Orca, Quint is actually gonna get a new boat. Quint is a master boy, he's gonna catch the Grim. You can't catch the Grim. Did they try yet? I don't think they tried that, but probably you cannot. As the boat was readied, I noticed that her little birdie friend was shivering in her arms, and it dawned on her that it had nothing to do with the cool ocean breeze. He was a fire type on board, surrounded by ocean, and he was as nervous as Blake in a room full of corgis. Keeping her voice low, she murmured reassuringly to Lux as she ran her fingers through his crest. I should suggest, this isn't exactly your scene, is it? They haven't attempted yet. Not disapproved that the Grim are immune to catching. Yeah, until they prove that they are uncatchable, I will think that they are not catchable. Because they don't have aura. The little rooster squirmed while he rested in the crook of her arm, giving his trainer an impressed look. You know, Jasmine staying on the shore, she could probably use some extra support. I'm sure she would appreciate some backup. Hang and Lux both know that it was a blatant fabrication. While Jasmine would certainly welcome Lux along, Celix and a number of other metallic Pokemon meant that she was pretty well set for reinforcements. The fire type looked up at his trainer, and the soft encouraging smile she was giving him. He turned and looked back at the dock, where Jasmine still stood, speaking quietly with the harbor master. Lux took a deep, steadying breath and sighed. He turned back to Yang, a fierce light in his eyes, and shouted a refusal. He settled deeper into his grip, making it clear he wasn't going anywhere. Good to catch them all. But that would make some extra interesting Pokemon, right? I mean, no, the Grim wouldn't make a good Pokemon. Because first of all, they don't listen. Second of all, they can get killed with one attack. Yeah, it's not gonna obey anyways. It doesn't matter which gym badge you have. It's not gonna obey. Because they already have a master. Werewolf Digivolve to Alpha Werewolf, right? This is where Flinch was. What? His visible flinch when a strong gust of wind brought some sea spray with it. Kind of ruined his stoic car though. Yang smiled at him, flying her aura just a tad to warm him up. Thanks, buddy. The Orca may have been an old boat, but she was sturdy and cut through the mild chop of Olivine's Bay with ease. The sun was shining, the wind was soothing, and the sea was calm. If it weren't for the lurking danger that brought them out here, it would have been a perfect day to simply enjoy some boating. Lux and Shade had both found places to stay out of the way in the boat's small cabin, and had come to a sort of unspoken agreement. Shade wouldn't mock Lux's fear out of the sea for the time being, and Lux wouldn't laugh about the Shade's need to hunker down out of the wind to avoid being blown away by the breeze. I actually have a question about Shade. It's a ghastly. So the boat is actually not going with him, right? He has to basically fly with the boat. To stay afloat. To stay with them, right? I mean, just a guess, Pokemon. The most ghastly of the ghastly. Oh, how does that work? Do they have some gravity and they still are linked to the spot that they are hovering over? Or what? I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. Above the cabin, Yang stood next to Quint as he steered his boat in a long, slow arc, taking them out towards the lighthouse east of the city. "What are you taking us this way for?" she asked. "The game probably won't be this close to the coast." "Hold your horses, girl," the old star said, scanning the horizon. "Gotta pick up the secret weapon before we start the hunt proper." Yang frowned at him truthfully. "You still haven't said what we are looking for." Along the similar lines, you used to wonder why a fly doesn't just splat on the back of the car or airplane, since it's not touching the car plane, therefore not really traveling with it. Wait, what? Why would it spat on the back of the car? I mean, flies don't really wanna travel with the car, right? Maybe because the fly isn't moving when the plane car is. It might be moving, but it's moving slower. That's why. When I'm looking for him, he will come looking for us. He? It's a Pokemon, I guess. Green mumbled, turning the wheel another point to port. Before the blonde could question that command, the veteran fisherman nodded firmly to himself and muttered, "This will do." He turned back towards the sun and looked down to Blake, who was sitting on one of the barrels stacked on the deck. "Hey, go and pop in the great bucket, would ya?" Blake followed the captain's pointing finger towards the indicated bucket, one with a watertight lid, glommed securely over it. She tugged the lid off, and flinched back at the stench of the contents billowed out. She glared up at Quint, who was watching with an amused grin. "Chum, really? You do realize we are looking for a grim, not a shark, right?" Well, you might actually have a Sharpedo right here. Or Gyros. "Well, that's what you think," he called back. "Dump that overboard and you will see something special." The answer is the fly's traveling is also moving with the car plane. That's why it's moving along the car plane, even in it's midair. Oh yeah. That you speak about that, yeah, it makes sense that if Gasly is under the dock, then it would go with the air, yes. Funny thing about it though, how it is connected to the outside that way. Yeah, it's strange. Iron mix is not something I have been learning too much. Yang hopped 8 feet from the helm to the deck easily, taking one side of the bucket and helping Blake lift it carefully. They weren't as fastidious as Quint obviously expected, but they still didn't want to get fish guts in their clothes. They poured the reeking soup over the gunwale and stared at the patch of red on the water expectantly. The engine dropped into idling, and Quinn slid down the ladder. Well, Sodra, the gems just got his attention. To really see what we are here for, gonna need this. He opened the cooler, pulled out his huge fresh fish, almost 3 feet long. Blake's eyes lit up as she saw the silver scared delight, but her hope fell away into a shocked horror as Quinn held it out over the side, the tail trailing through the water. Yang couldn't help but snicker at the look on her partner's face. Come on, Quinn muttered. We ain't got all day. A few seconds later, Yang thought she saw a dark shape beneath the surface, and the instant after that, a massive form exploded from the water, leaping above the surface at tremendous speed, leaving only the bait fish head in Quinn's head. Ha! Bruce, you ugly bastard! What took you so long? The captain roared in his voice. It's another Jaws reference. It's another Jaws reference, yup. So it has to be a Sharpie though. Has anyone said, oh, slow down? We do have water. Yes. Yes. I actually have said it. At work. To my teammates. Because there are some parts when you actually slow down, but they just can't get the rhythm right. Some of them are too slow, some of them are too fast. Bruce looked like like someone had taken another massive shark and cut off everything behind the dorsal fin. Even without a tail, the Pokemon cruised through the water like a speedboat, casting a roster tail of spray in his wake until it slowed down and circled back around. Coming up alongside the rocker, it became clear how big the creature really was. Despite only having the form of half of a shark, he was nearly 10 feet long, from nose to an end. A gurgling rumble emanated from the deep in the behemoth's belly as Quinn reached out and carefully touched his nose. Wait, there is no end to a Sharpie though? I guess I didn't expect that. I really thought that because of this picture, that Sharpedos were full sharks, but it was invisible and it turns his body this way, backwards, from this sprite. But no, actually they are just half sharks. I really didn't know that. But they are really just half sharks. It's a no tail. But see how I point this way? This really looks like that it just turns away. It's like the back of its body is just hidden behind. It can happen, but it seems not. On top of all the problems, what if they also run into a Sharknado? They might in the other one because they said that it's a more crazy one. But in the more sensible one, I don't think they are gonna run into that. Again, I learned something new. Regarding Rumble emanated from the deep of the mammoth's belly, as Quint reached out and carefully scratched his nose. Moose, he is the toughest sharpedo I ever met, on top of being almost twice the size of a regular one, Quint bragged. Oh, ain't nothing in these waters that will give him a pose. Young whistled as she examined the huge Pokemon's streamlined form and massive teeth. Okay, recruiting him was the detour. She leaned out over to the gunwale, far enough to look in the sharks in the eye. Hi! So we are hunting the nasty monster that's been attacking the ships, and the old fart here says that you will be helpful stopping the thing before it gets anybody else. And looking at you, I believe it. Interested? Give me a second. I slipped up something really bad. It was a particle that was not good to slip up. It was like, what the fuck is in my nose? 1001. A small part of her mind, Eileen wondered, actually when having a civil conversation with an oversized shark became her normal. The sharpedo rolled back slightly, bobbing vertically in the water like a surfacing whale, most closed in a thoughtful frown that was bizarre to see on such a savage face. After a moment, Bruce's expression switched to a rather more appropriate toothy grin and narrowed its eyes at Quint. The old sailor rolled his eyes and shuffled back to the cooler. Yeah, double or nothing, I know. Fucking mercenary son of a best. The second fish was tossed into the whirling maw of the nature's chainsaw. Huh? And the shark was satisfied with his payment. My eye. Oh no. Quinn shot Young and Blake a grin, nearly as savage as his fishy friends. Now we are ready to hunt your monster. Hours passed, and there was no sign of the Fairlong. The Orca and its aquatic escort had patrolled back and forth along the coast for miles east and west of the city, far enough outland that was barely visible. A visible strip along the horizon. The sky was beginning to take on an orange cast as sunset edged closer. The engine was quiet for the time being, the boat idly drifting with the current, as the captain and the crew discussed their next move. Come on, there's gotta be some kind of bait we can dangle, Quinn said, sitting on a barrel and slammed against the gunwale. Every kind of creature that has something that will bring it running. Blake shook her head. True, even Grim has have things they seek out, but it's not something we can really use. Bruce, bobbing in the water, rubbled an interrogative. Grim kill people and wreck stuff, Young explained. That's all they do. And what rings the dinner bell for them is fear and hate and negative feelings like that. I know it sounds kooky. She added quickly, cutting off Quinn's sneer. But it's true. They use panic like boats uses a lighthouse back in town. And a small group feeling frustrated about not being able to find their target won't be enough to get its attention, Blake concluded with a sigh. Shay drifting nearby grumbled in an annoyance. Quinn snorted in disgust. So we are stuck relying on dumb luck or waiting for it to attack someone else, he growled, which might not happen for days. Yang growled herself, not happier with the situation than Quint. That's about the size of, she paused, turning towards the boat's cabin. They all did. Lux had left the cabin for the first time since the boat had slipped its moorings and was bouncing in place on the deck, shaking something in warning. He pointed back to the door, through the door with his tiny wings urgently. Yang was on her feet and moving instantly. Quint and Blake was only a step behind. Inside, a faint cease of static greeted them, before a quiet, tiny voice echoed from the small radio inside. Repeat, Olivin happened to Oka. Come in. There is a vessel under attack in the vicinity. Quinn snatched the handset and turned up the volume. Oka to Olivine. Repeat message, over. His voice remained measured, even after the excited gleam appeared in his eyes. Oka emergency. Report and call for help from the private yak Stardust. The description matches the monster. The frequency. The serious number was rattled off, and Quinn nodded. On the way, Olivine. Have emergency services on standby. Over and out. He slammed the handset back in place and pushed past the guards, swarming up the ladder and turning the larger radio next to the ham with one hand as he rested the engine with the other. By the time Yang and Blake had gotten up there with him, they were on the move, and the radio was screaming. Please, anyone, help us! This thing is gonna kill us all! The few words were drowned out by the tremendous roar. Quinn took over the radio. Stardust, this is the Orca, he said, firm and calm. Stay to your position and stand by for rescue. Over. Oh, thank you, Arceus. The woman on the other hand sobbed. We are north of the Whirl Islands. We caught sight of the Olivine to the northeast just before it attacked. Please hurry. Good enough. Quinn growled, spinning the wheel a few degrees. Bruce, he bellowed, not taking his eyes off the horizon. Out that way. He pointed in the general direction he estimated the busy yak lay. The shark roared in response, then shot off across the waves like the torpedo he resembled. Might not happen for days, might happen in a few 5 minutes, Yak said lightly, trying to lighten the mood. He's hoping the Falun decided to take this time, Blake said, bringing it right back down again. So let's see, how far are we? I'm gonna put a mark here. Are we at halfway point? Yeah, we have a lot more to go. A lot more to go. So what say you if I stop here? And continue this on Sunday. I know it's a it's a cliffhanger. But things are gonna speed up after this, right? Hanging on to the cliff, don't let me fall! And this is not even the longest chapter. Yeah, I saw there are multiple ones. I mean, if I didn't have to go to work today, I would be able to continue, but not like this. Because, it's already 10 PM. 10 AM. And I have less than 2 hours to do all the other stuff I need to do. I'm sorry for being it so short, but yeah, work is something I have to do as well, and before that I have to eat, I have to walk with the dogs, I have to do that, this, that. Especially the most biggest problem is just going to the post office and basically paying all the bills. That's a must, because without paying the bills I won't have internet. So yeah, I will continue this on Sunday. So not tomorrow, but the day after. I don't know if it's gonna be Sunday for you, if it's gonna be still just Saturday night. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna continue. Thank you for being here. And see you next time. Bye bye.